Step across the threshold, friend. Ah, shed the bitter frost of this broken world and seek the warmth of our hearth.
Pull up a sturdy chair. Um, the fire is well stoked tonight.
It is indeed. We sit together within these timber walls, nursing steaming cups, shielded from the howling winds.
It is a comforting cloak, even if it is a fragile one.
Extremely fragile, because beyond these wooden beams, well, a chilling truth tightens its merciless grip upon the realms.
The shattered veil prophecy.
Exactly. It unfurls its dark, suffocating tapestry across the sky. And tonight, we chronicle a tale of immense desperation.
A deep dive into a recon mission that unearthed a global doom.
Consider the unique terror of hunting a hidden adversary through the shadows, only to discover that same adversary has already locked its unblinking gaze upon the entirety of existence.
It changes the entire perspective of the hunt.
It truly does. So we are tracing the path of a fractured fellowship, a splinter group that severed themselves from their main company to brave the unknown.
That deliberate fracturing represents a fascinating tactical gamble. We really must examine the composition of this specialized unit to understand their approach.
Please outline the party for our listener.
Well, first you have Azoriel, the blue dragonborn fighter. He possesses scales that gleam with the azure depth of a violent sea.
He operates as the tactical anchor, correct?
Precisely. Beside him walks Jebediah Brown, the human barbarian. Jebediah is a literal mountain of muscle.
A man harboring raw, suppressed fury.
Yes, fury that serves as a physical battering ram when finesse fails entirely.
And then there is the scout.
Ah, Tucker, the human ranger. He navigates the terrain with the silent, deliberate grace of a hunting wolf.
But they also have Kolkita.
The avian swordsman, yes. She brings a completely different utility. Her dark eyes carry the heavy, unspoken memories of fallen cities.
Which drives her meticulous scouting.
Indeed. Finally, Zora, the high elf sorcerer. She wields chaotic arcana born from profound, world-shattering trauma.
So a potent combination of survivors. And to even reach their starting point in Mistwood Vale, they departed the ashen lands of Ashwillow.
Utilizing the potent, tearing sorcery of the Wave Guild to cross that distance.
The mechanics of that Wave Guild sorcery warrant deeper examination. We often hear the term, but the actual process of piercing a dimensional boundary is, well, violently complex.
The Wave Guild does not merely open a door.
No, their aquamancers must map the ethereal currents that overlap our physical oceans.
It is a harrowing form of transit.
Extremely. To transport this team, the casters had to locate a localized pressure drop in reality. They essentially forced physical bodies through a hyper-compressed magical current.
Which leaves the traveler utterly disoriented, stripped of their physical equilibrium.
And arriving in the quiet hamlet bordering the Mistwood, the team found themselves physically drained.
Vulnerable, even.
Yes, very vulnerable. But there, they encountered a profound, heartbreaking display of mortal hospitality. It stands in sharp contrast to the high magic they used to travel.
The family of Aaron. They recognized the heavy mantle these warriors carried.
They did. They rallied the destitute locals.
The economic reality of that hospitality cannot be overstated. For our listener here.
We are discussing a border hamlet already suffering beneath the encroaching apocalyptic winter.
Yet they pooled their meager silver. Every worn coin, every saved copper, offered freely to the cause.
They provided bowls of hot pottage and dry straw for the weary travelers.
From a logistical standpoint, well, a bowl of root vegetables and a dry floor might seem inconsequential to heroes battling demigods.
But from a psychological perspective,
that small, defiant flame of warmth fortifies the mind. It anchors the heroes to the very mortality they are sacrificing themselves to protect.
It serves as a stark, agonizing juxtaposition to the cold, mechanized horrors awaiting them beneath the dense forest canopy.
That transition is brutal. Moving from the warmth of the hamlet into the suffocating depths of Mistwood Vale sets a dreadful tone.
The morning brought no true dawn to the forest. A gray, stifling suffusion of light filtered through the choking canopy of the ancient timber.
The air hung damp, heavily laced with the scent of pine needle rot and wet loam.
Pockets of fog drifted through the gargantuan trunks, bearing the terrifying visage of ghost water.
Ghost water.
The mist stood so entirely stagnant that pushing through it required intense physical exertion. I envision wading through miles of heavy, wet silk.
The phenomenon of ghost water is entirely unnatural. It stems directly from the magical corruption seeping out of the beholder's lair.
It is not merely atmospheric moisture, then?
No, not at all. Ghost water occurs when localized time dilation traps ordinary fog.
The water molecules physically resist the current temporal flow.
Exactly. It creates a semi-solid resistance against anything moving at a normal speed.
Within this oppressive, exhausting atmosphere, Kolkita proved her immeasurable worth.
We must analyze her background to appreciate her efficiency in this environment. She survived the catastrophic Duskmere evacuation.
The truly harrowing ordeal.
It was. And while others in the Fellowship might act as the billowing sails catching the turbulent winds of conflict, well, Kolkita serves as the sturdy keel of the ship.
I appreciate that mechanical distinction. The keel sits beneath the water unseen.
Yet it provides the absolute directional stability, preventing the entire vessel from capsizing.
Kolkita tends to the relentless practicalities of survival. Her methods of communication alone demonstrate a brilliant adaptation to this hostile environment.
She speaks no common words in these tense moments. She knows sound carries unpredictably through ghost water.
Instead, she utilizes aviomorphology, a soft click of her beak.
A sharp, deliberate tilt of her feathered head.
Then, with a swift flick of her wrist, she conjures a glowing ribbon of arcane light, etching a brief, burning symbol into the air above her hand.
That arcane rib technique is a masterclass in covert casting.
It is a minor illusion cantrip, correct?
Yes, but she bounds it entirely within somatic focal points. This entirely eliminates the verbal components that typically trigger enemy awareness.
The glowing symbol hung in the gloom, conveying a vital warning. Whispers ahead. Unbound.
Through the drifting temporal veil, the pale, hollow forms of the whispers materialized.
Yet the tactical situation presented a glaring anomaly.
It certainly did. These creatures are historically formidable manifestations of the enemy's destructive will.
By sheer, they wandered without any purpose.
They stood completely detached from the hive mind that typically drives them to coordinate violent assaults.
Seeing these aimless whispers paints a pathetic, eerie picture. We are looking at severed connections within a massive magical network.
That is a very astute observation.
Think of a sprawling arcane server farm. If the central processor stops transmitting localized relay commands, well, the individual drones default to a low-power standby mode.
They stumble, devoid of the master's pulling instructions.
Exactly. They become severed puppet strings swaying in the breeze. Azuriel's azure scales caught the muted woodland light as he recognized this vulnerability.
He signaled a slow, silent advance.
Tucker's light ranger tread and Kolkita's nimble movements carved a precise path through the blind spots of the mindless figures.
This flawless navigation allowed Jebediah to slip past without igniting his simmering barbarian fury,
preserving their essential element of surprise.
The Beholder's psionic network operates much like a centralized broadcasting tower. It requires immense mental bandwidth to command separate units across a wide perimeter.
So for the Whispers to default to an unbound state, the Beholder must have deliberately severed its localized relay.
It withdrew its mental presence entirely from the Force defenses.
That withdrawal raises a terrifying question regarding the entity's motivation. Does this sudden abandonment signify the Master's unfathomable arrogance?
Perhaps it assumes the temporal distortion of the ghost water renders the Mistwood completely impenetrable to mortal incursions.
Or, conversely, does it point toward a distraction so monumental, an undertaking so colossal within the caverns, that the Beholder has willingly sacrificed its own perimeter defenses?
Sacrificing them to focus every ounce of its psychic energy inward. The architectural transition at the cavern mouth heavily supports the latter theory.
Deep within the earth, the comforting natural scent of damp moss abruptly surrenders to something violently industrial.
The hot metallic reek of copper wire, dark oil, and burning ozone floods the descending passageways.
The rough, water-carved stone gradually transforms into meticulously fitted, runic brickwork.
The domain of nature completely terminates. The domain of relentless, calculated industry begins.
Culminating at a heavy stone door set flush into the floor, glowing with faint, pulsating blue glyphs.
Zora stepped forward to meet this arcane barrier.
Her delicate high-elf features set in grim, unyielding focus. Her fingers trembled slightly before settling into a disciplined, practiced arc.
Sparks of wild magic tumbled from her fingertips. Erratic, iridescent embers snapped violently against the ancient lock.
The blue runes flared, sputtered, and finally clicked open with a deep, grinding echo. We must trace Zora's journey to truly understand the chaotic magic she wields against this structured lock.
Zora's psychological and magical evolution carries immense tragic weight.
She originated as a spoiled noble within the gleaming, pristine city of Duskmere, did she not?
She did, living a life entirely removed from the dirt and blood of survival.
Until the devastating Bragan attacks decimated her home.
She nearly perished, plummeting into a fiery crater alongside the warlock Atenimus.
They managed a desperate, chaotic escape through an evacuation portal to Dawnmare.
Her entire subsequent journey centered upon the desperate search for her missing brother.
A fragile hope that shattered entirely in Zephyr City.
The Zephyr City revelation fundamentally altered her arcane signature. Atenimus coldly presented a picture salvaged from the Sunspire catacombs,
Undeniably confirming her brother died heroically trying to save the realm from corruption.
The grief of that moment fractured her disciplined high elf sorcery. It introduced the unpredictable element of wild magic.
The fires of the apocalypse tempered her fine jewelry into a hardened, functional weapon.
She proved this transformation during the Northern Infiltration Team's operation at the Zephyr Conquered Bank.
Yet she still carries the crushing, unresolved weight of the life she lost.
The mechanics of her unlocking the door highlight this transformation beautifully. Runic locks require precise harmonic frequency matching to disengage.
A traditional wizard would spend hours calculating the exact counter-resonance.
Zora, however, utilizing her trauma-infused wild magic, bypassed the calculation entirely.
She unleashed a brute force chaotic frequency. It overwhelmed the structured runes, causing them to physically sputter and fail under the unpredictable arcane load.
As those overwhelmed runes flared and the heavy stone slab began to grind open, well, Jebediah lunged forward to exploit the opening.
Veins bulged along the barbarian's thick forearms. He seized the rough stone edge, his breath coming in a harsh, guttural grunt.
He held the immense crushing weight aloft through sheer unadulterated physical strength.
Allowing the remaining four to slip beneath the threshold, I find a profound irony in Zora's chaotic magic dismantling the lock. Her wild energy perfectly mirrors the shattered state of their world, vibrant, dangerous, completely unpredictable. I must ask, in a world where rigid structures have failed, is chaotic power the only true countermeasure against Gormak's meticulous designs?
It creates a fascinating dichotomy between chaos and rigid structure. Gormak relies upon meticulous mechanical designs and strict hierarchies of command.
The enemy builds massive, ordered systems of destruction.
The heroes, conversely, are surviving through sheer unpredictability. The heavy door ground shut behind them, sealing the recon team inside.
A nightmare of precision that perfectly illustrates the enemy's reliance on order. They emerged onto a narrow stone gallery,
overlooking a vast three-story subterranean chamber.
The pit below gaped as a localized hellscape, choked with the machinery of doom.
Tables crammed with whirring gears, glowing ley line conduits, and intricate brass constructs covered every available inch of the floor.
In the dead center hovered the architect of this mechanical terror, the Eye of Gormak.
The beholder's massive central iris twitched erratically, its gaze darting across the room while its surrounding eye stalks danced over complex arcana apparatuses.
The creature's wet voice reverberated through the vaulted ceiling, raspy and thick with malicious anticipation. Soon, soon. Gormak needs me for his final ascent.
The engineering occurring in that chamber requires a deep understanding of planar mechanics. The beholder is not merely building weapons.
It is interfacing directly with the planet's ley lines.
Yes, ley lines function as the ethereal nervous system of the Earth, carrying vast currents of raw mana.
So the brass machinery acts as colossal acupuncture needles,
forcefully drawing that raw mana out of the Earth to power whatever apocalyptic design the beholder is orchestrating for Gormak.
This explains the immense psychic bandwidth required, pulling its attention away from the whispers in the forest.
The recon team watched from the shadows above, their breath caught in their throats.
Then a harsh, brassy alarm blared through the chamber, shattering the subterranean silence.
A massive tear in space ripped open in the air before the beholder.
Through this magical aperture, the team beheld a distant, snow-blind wilderness.
They watched in stunned, helpless silence as their own allies came into view.
The main fellowship, Aaron, Debbie, Welsies, Atenimus, alongside the newcomers, Robin, Dean, and Percy.
Plowing through deep, freezing drifts toward a silent camp in the frozen wastes of Chronopolis.
The geographical displacement here is crucial. Chronopolis exists in the extreme northern wastes,
a brutal environment of perpetual blizzard and ancient time magics.
The beholder recognized its primary prey instantly through the scrying portal.
It let out a wet, gurgling chuckle, bearing rows of needle-sharp teeth. The tactical cruelty of the creature manifested immediately.
One of its smaller eye stalks twisted toward a second magical display.
On it, the aimless whispers they had bypassed in the Mistwood suddenly froze, receiving a new, centralized command.
The speed of that ambush is terrifying. With a blinding flash of dark magic, the beholder folded space,
teleporting those unbound creatures from the damp temporal fog of the forest directly into the snowy wastes of Chronopolis.
Space folding across such distances requires immense calculations, yet the beholder executed it flawlessly.
The monster utilized a thick, unnatural mist to mask their sudden arrival, surrounding the main party in an instant lethal ambush.
From their high perch on the gallery, the recon team remained entirely paralyzed.
Revealing their position in that moment would have meant certain death, achieving absolutely nothing for their friends.
Jebediah's knuckles whitened on the hilt of his axe, a physical manifestation of his suppressed rage.
Azuriel leveled a stern, commanding gaze across his companions, enforcing absolute silence.
Through the glowing portal, they witnessed a brutal, chaotic slaughter. The pristine northern snow turned a vibrant, horrifying crimson.
Sparks of brilliant, destructive spellfire illuminated the howling white storm.
Despite the surprise, the main fellowship fought back with ruthless, coordinated precision born of long, harrowing experience.
Blades flashed. Arcane energy detonated, and within minutes, the ambush collapsed entirely.
The heroes of the main party systematically dismantled the threat. The last whisper dissolved into useless ash against the frozen drifts.
The recon team watched their friends survive, but the defeat triggered an explosive, terrifying reaction from the beholder below.
The creature unleashed a bellow of rage so deafening, so physically concussive, that the recon team pressed their hands tightly over their ears,
crouching low against the stone balustrade to avoid the pressure wave.
The shockwave vibrated violently through the dense floorboards. Frantic with fury, the eye raised multiple stalks,
firing a desperate barrage of scorching energy beams straight through the snapping rift.
The portal slammed shut, severing the connection and cutting off the destructive volley before it could strike the victors.
The beholder remained hovering in the center of the room, panting heavily.
Its massive central iris completely bloodshot and dilated from the immense exertion.
I look at the beholder in that specific moment and see a creature fundamentally driven by terror rather than malice.
It throws a violent tantrum reminiscent of a panicked, failing lieutenant terrified of a tyrannical general. Is this rage born of hatred for the heroes or sheer terror of Gormak's impending punishment for another failure?
The psychology of subservient monsters perfectly aligns with your observation. Beholders possess massive egos.
They usually consider themselves the pinnacle of evolution.
To serve another entity requires a crushing exertion of dominance. Cormac must hold the threat of unimaginable agony over this creature.
The beholder's subsequent actions confirm a desperate need to salvage its master's grand design before punishment arrives.
Slowly regaining its composure, it turned back to its primary array of tables.
It began hammering violently at the glowing consoles.
One by one, dozens of smaller portal windows erupted across the chamber floor,
casting a sickening kaleidoscopic mosaic of light over the intricate brass constructs.
The true horror lay in the diversity of the images.
Each portal displayed a completely different realm, a distinct biome, a sprawling metropolis.
The recon team recognized the towering white marble spires of the city of Giva.
They saw the ancient, heavily fortified stone walls of Thornreach.
The beholder hissed to the empty room, its voice dripping with venomous, desperate triumph. The final assault is ready. Give me the power promised, and I will unleash your wrath upon this world.
The truth settled over the hidden heroes with crushing, suffocating weight. Gormak harbored no intention of mounting a localized conventional siege.
This demonic entity planned no slow march of armies across the continents.
The screens displayed the mechanism for a synchronized global annihilation. Every major city, every bastion of hope,
targeted simultaneously from above.
The sheer logistical terror of a synchronized aerial strike renders traditional defenses entirely obsolete.
A massive stone wall provides zero protection when the enemy teleports directly into the city square.
The strategic implications threaten not merely the grounded terrestrial empires, but the entirety of the known world.
Even regions entirely isolated from land-based conflict face imminent destruction.
Consider the free oceans, ruled by the formidable Goliath pirate queen Toxana.
And her counterpart, Admiral Jack Windbeard. Toxana stands nearly 8 feet tall, her ash-gray skin marked by sea-green tattoos mapping her greatest naval victories.
She commands the abyssal behemoth and the entire Corsair fleet.
She operates under the belief that absolute freedom belongs to those bold enough to sail the open waters, scorning the laws of terrestrial kings and high councils.
Her naval supremacy is absolute. No armada could match her broadsides.
Yet, Her immense fleet, her undeniable tactical brilliance, and her fiercely loyal crew mean absolutely nothing if the sky burns everywhere at once.
A galleon cannot outmaneuver a teleporting swarm of demonic constructs raining from a folded spatial rift.
The ocean offers no sanctuary from a fractured, collapsing reality.
Faced with the imminent destruction of everything they hold dear, the recon team executed a desperate, necessary retreat.
They understood the intel possessed far more value than a suicide strike against the beholder.
With quiet, coordinated precision, they backed away from the gallery edge.
They slipped out of the nightmarish industrial chamber, retracing their steps through the silent, oppressive tunnels.
Until they broke out into the freezing air of the Mistwood, the ghost water still lingered, but sheer panic spurred their pace.
They sprinted back to the hamlet of Mistwood Vale.
Time became their absolute enemy. The team pooled every remaining resource,
every ounce of their lingering influence and wealth, to secure a rapid travel portal from the local Wave Guild representative.
They needed to bypass weeks of travel. They set the arcane coordinates directly for the Royal Plaza of Jiva,
intending to warn the king face-to-face and plead for immediate, widespread martial aid.
They stepped into the swirling vortex of the portal, expecting instantaneous transit to the capital.
The mechanics of portal transit rely heavily on the stability of the underlying ley lines.
Mid-transit, a catastrophic failure occurred.
The ancient ley line buckled beneath them. When demonic corruption seeps into the earth, it acts as an arcane parasite,
crystallizing the fluid, ethereal nature of magical transit.
An agonizing physical tear swept through the corrupted conduit. Arcane heat scorched their flesh,
burning straight through their armor and clothing, the safety of the magical corridor shredded entirely.
The world dissolved into a blinding white flash of pure, uncontrolled energy as the corridor collapsed.
The corrupted spell violently ejected them from the ethereal plane, throwing them onto hard, unfamiliar cobblestones.
Skin burning, clothes smoking, the team crumpled onto the ground in the town square of Woodgate, miles away from their intended destination of Giva.
The violent ejection damaged them severely, leaving them incapacitated.
The failure of the portal network signifies a terminal escalation in Gormak's war.
I see a terrifying irony in this situation. The magical travel network is like veins carrying poisoned blood. Has Gormak's corruption already degraded the fundamental laws of reality, making any reliance on old magic a lethal gamble?
Gormak's spreading corruption has fundamentally degraded the laws of reality, rotting the infrastructure of the world so thoroughly that any reliance on ancient magic becomes exactly that, a lethal, unpredictable gamble.
Broken, burned, and stranded entirely off course, the team found themselves completely at the mercy of whoever controlled the local square.
Bleary-eyed and clutching a badly sprained wrist, Kolkita forced her heavy head up from the smoking stone.
Through the hazy distortion of pain and shimmering heat radiating from their scorched armor, she saw a figure standing calmly over them in the center of the plaza.
It was Howl,
the Aasimar bard. He stood with his hands casually tucked into his coat, projecting an aura of complete tranquility amidst their violent arrival.
Thick linen bandages wrapped tightly around his forearms, hiding a faint, pulsing purple glow beneath the coarse fabric.
His signature golden earring caught the harsh midday sunlight.
He looked down at the ruined heroes without a single trace of surprise, reacting as if he had been patiently awaiting their fiery arrival all morning.
Kolkita, functioning purely on survival instinct, raised a trembling hand to pantomime a warning signal.
But the crushing darkness of unconsciousness finally pulled her under.
When Zora opened her eyes the following morning, the soothing scent of crushed lavender, bitter healing poultices, and clean wool filled a quiet room.
She sat up slowly in a soft bed within a secluded Woodgate inn.
Across the room, Howl sat tilted back in a simple wooden chair, spinning a heavy gold coin between his bandaged knuckles.
A small army of local healers bustled quietly out the heavy oak door, their pockets laden with the bard's seemingly endless supply of wealth.
We must analyze Howl's complex nexus of motivations and his unique biology to understand his role.
He operates publicly as an opportunistic chronicler. He claims his magical earring draws him toward exciting events,
allowing him to gather stories, amass coin, and embellish adventures to create heroic sagas for the taverns.
His presence in Woodgate is no mere coincidence born of a bard's wandering feet.
That golden earring functions as a powerful prophetic device, heavily tied to demonic forces.
Specifically, the device is deeply coveted by Atenemus's demon patron. It pulls him toward the epicenters of fate.
Furthermore, he hides a terrible, fatal affliction beneath those linen bandages.
The physiology of an Aasimar involved celestial blood, which typically resists mundane diseases.
However, the glowing purple marks wrapped around his arms indicate the apocalypse is taking root within his very flesh.
Celestial blood reacts violently to abyssal radiation. He is slowly, agonizingly succumbing to the exact demonic corruption the heroes fight to eradicate.
His time is literally running out as his body wages a losing war against the ambient rot of Gormak's magic.
Howl spoke softly to the waking sorcerer, his voice smooth and melodious, entirely devoid of panic.
You took a rough turn through the ethereal, my friends. Lucky I happened to be in the neighborhood with a purse far too heavy for my own good.
Zora swung her legs over the side of the bed, wincing in sheer agony as her scorched shoulders protested the sudden movement.
In that specific moment, her practiced, noble, high-elf composure completely shattered, revealing the terrified survivor beneath.
Raw, unfiltered urgency replaced her usual noble bearing. She understood the immense failure of their mission.
They had failed to reach the King of Giva.
She whispered the horrifying truth to the only person listening. How? You don't understand. The portals. Gormak isn't attacking the north.
He has locked onto every major city, Giva, Thornreach, all of them. It's a synchronized strike.
That terrifying revelation triggered a profound, immediate shift in the Aasimar Bard.
The playful, opportunistic demeanor vanished instantly. The charming facade crumbled.
His gaze dropped heavily to his wrapped hands, watching where the dark purple light throbbed faintly beneath the linen cloth.
The inescapable reality of his own mortality, tied directly and intimately to the fate of the entire world, settled upon him.
He realized the songs he chased might end before he could ever perform them.
He murmured, leaning forward with newfound crushing gravity. Then the clock has already run out. Tell me everything.
His reaction shifts him from an observer to an active participant in the doom.
I observe Howl's role in this tragedy, and I see a long shadow cast by a flickering campfire against a cavern wall.
A poignant image.
The shadow does not provide the light or the heat itself, but it stretches the deeds of the heroes into larger-than-life legends, ensuring their mythos grows far beyond their mortal actions.
We must consider his ultimate purpose.
Does fate draw this guardian angel to aid them in their darkest, most desperate hour? Or is he merely a cursed moth drawn irrevocably to the apocalyptic flame, risking his immortal soul solely to secure a front-row seat to the end of the world?
The intricate tapestry woven today presents a dire, horrifying picture of a fractured defense.
The main party remains locked in brutal, desperate combat in the frozen, unforgiving wastes of Chronopolis.
Entirely oblivious to the grander scheme unfolding across the realms, they believe they are fighting the primary war.
Meanwhile, the recon team, battered, burned, and stranded in a remote town, holds the dreadful knowledge of a global execution order.
Utterly unable to deliver the warning, the communication lines remain severed.
The magical pathways lie poisoned and impassable. The clock, as Howl so grimly noted, has already run out.
We leave our listeners here on the precipice of ruin.
Stare into the embers of our fire, my friend, and allow the lingering dread of their situation to take hold.
If the creeping corruption of Gormak can buckle the very ley lines of the earth,
if it can rot the celestial flesh of the divine Aasimar Bard meant to chronicle this age, who remains untouched?
no one.
When the sky finally tears open above every city simultaneously, raining mechanical death upon the innocent, will the songs Howl writes serve as a triumphant history of miraculous survival?
Or merely a beautifully penned epitaph for a broken world?
Keep your blades sharp, traveler, and watch the shadows.